to Denmark for the weekend to join a goose parade in a retired prison and also go on an oyster safari. We started our adventure in this little town and got some things to eat because we were hungry, including pastries because we were in Denmark. Then we drove to the retired prison, which is no longer in use because it did not meet standards to keep incarcerated individuals. However, they use it for events now. And they had a bunch of horse presents, which I'm assuming they will give out later. We didn't have to worry about ghosts because the Ghostbusters were in attendance, and so were these little elves that were guarding all those horse presents. They were just bales of hay wrapped in ribbon, which is the best present for a horse, if you ask me. They decorated the whole place, including trains for kids to ride and food for people to eat. At night, they had lights that they had going all over the place, including up on the barbed wires. It was really magical. The stalls inside, some of them had these little dolls, which were super realistic. Luca did not buy one. And then the goose parade. I have no idea why they had these goose parades every hour or two, but they had music and you could join in the fun, and then you got to follow them all the way home, and they would sing to you once they got home, which was really cool. We got a few things, including this hat that I got for €3. The Christmas market was really cool. They decorated everything really nicely. It was really unique and a fun way to start off the Christmas season. Then we drove back to our hotel. We stayed in this old timber and brick building. The floor is actually slanted in it. It is one of the oldest buildings in this town, and this town is the oldest town in all of Scandinavia. But we had a shared bathroom that you saw in the hallway, and then everything was a little bit interesting. So Luke actually hit his head on the door at least twice a day, every day. But downstairs, they had this great restaurant. They had leather placemats, which was a first. And the next day, we went on our oyster safari. So we brought our own toppings, a lemon and hot sauce, and they gave us these waders. We had about 4 kilometers in and out, which is about 2.5 miles to walk. And it was good they gave us these waders because the water went to your knees. This is some migrating birds. It's the end of their season. They're still here because it's warmer than normal. But in the summer, they have a thing called the black sun. And at sunrise and sunset, the sky is just black because it's covered in these birds that are here for mating season. It's supposed to be really, really magical. And I got a little hot when we were walking, so I used my waders as a pocket. These are the largest tidal flats in the whole world. They provide a huge ecological service to us as a planet, which is really cool, and they're beautiful. It was just breathtaking to be able to walk out there. So we finally got to the oyster bank, and the oysters here are European oysters. They grow on top of mussels, and they don't have any predators when they get large enough. So you can see Luca shucking one right now, and we are doing our ecological service by eating the ones that are too big for the oyster catcher birds to eat. You can see me here opening one. I was mistaken for an expert because I was inspecting them so closely, but if you look carefully at that last clip, I actually dropped that oyster and had to redo it so that I could give Luca one to eat. We had a lot of fun. A lot of people brought buckets. We didn't have anywhere to cook or eat them after we left, so we just ate what we could while we were there. And then we walked back. This is a dike. It protects the land from flooding. And guys like these guys, these little sheep guys, are very happy that they're not flooded. We made friends with them. We went to lunch and then came back and went to the museum. It was a really cool museum with a lot of interactive activities, like these binoculars that brought the birds to life, and this sand pit that you could dig around in, and the water would kind of react to you and the buildings would flood. They also had some touch pools with these little flatfish and some little crab guys and starfish guys. And then they also had tanks with these other flatfish and some gross shrimp. This was an awesome display of the birds that we showed you earlier, and all of these were little screens. This is a thatch roof house, which is typical of the area and really cool. And then we went back to our town and walked around. Those are the timber and brick houses, just like our hotel. And then this is a giant church that's in the middle of the square. It's very, very old. it flooded once. But these houses are really cool because they're super old and they're actually bowed out. They're still used as homes and stores and restaurants, fully functional, but kind of wonky, which is really unique. We stopped to have a drink because the sun went down at like 4. And then we met this cat. We got her to come hang out with us by pretending that we didn't want to hang out with her. So, of course, she ran right over for pets. The next day, we drove back to the airport. The roads in Denmark are so smooth, and the fall colors are beautiful right now. The airport was in the town of Legoland, but we didn't go to Legoland. They had this big building where you could run up the stairs and a lot of play structures that you could play on. So we played on them. Luca climbed up this and later told me that this would be a very unsafe thing for a child to do. However, it has been one of the highlights of his whole entire life, according to him. And he had a wet butt for the rest of the day because of this. I also found a slide, but I was lucky enough to not have a wet butt. These activities were really fun. You could just kind of run around and play on them. Then we had to leave Denmark, but we had a great time. Thanks, Denmark!